Americans have long seen their soul, their failures, and their triumphs through their writers. No other country has produced such a noble body of literature as the United States. Hello, I'm Jane Kasmarek, and welcome to the Great American Authors series. In the 6th episode, we will learn about a group of authors who lived through America's Great Depression. Their response was as diverse as the country had become. Ernest Hemingway redefined the novel. James Thurber laughed at America. Science fiction authors put social ills in futuristic settings. And Tennessee Williams and Arthur Miller would lead a resurgence of American theater. There has never been established a link between alcoholism and great writing. Yet the great writers of the Lost Generation all had their battles with drinking. William Faulkner, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Eugene O'Neill, and Sinclair Lewis, every one an acclaimed writer in the 30s. But Ernest Hemingway drank like a character from one of his novels. Indeed, he wrote as he lived, and lived as he wrote. For Americans, he is our greatest writer.
Ernest Hemingway was driven to live life to the fullest. His experiences became the source for the type of American hero that lived in his novels, a hero who faced violence and death with courage and grace. In his early years, he became not only what a writer should be, but he mirrored the age in which he lived and embodied the quintessential image of the American male. Big, larger than life, a bit of a bully, an adventurer looking for the next big story to become involved in. Most people remember Hemingway affectionately by his nickname, Papa, and as the white-bearded fishing and hunting enthusiast. But Hemingway was first and foremost the 20th century's greatest American novelist. A Midwesterner, Hemingway was born in Oak Park, Illinois on July 21, 1899. He grew up hunting, fishing, and camping. After graduating from high school in 1917, Hemingway was always on the move, a newspaper reporter for the Kansas City Star, an ambulance driver in Italy in the waning days of World War I. In 1921, at the age of 22, Hemingway settled in Paris with other expatriates, such as F. Scott Fitzgerald, Ezra Pound, Sherwood Anderson, John Dos Passos, and T.S. Eliot. This was the beginning of the Lost Generation, a term coined by the writer Gertrude Stein and made popular by Hemingway in the epigraph to his breakthrough novel, The Sun Also Rises. Written in 1926, The Sun Also Rises was the story of Americans disillusioned by World War I, a fictional account of the Lost Generation writers in 1920s Paris. It was an instant success and introduced Hemingway's simple but powerful and evocative style of writing, a style imitated by many authors since. The Sun Also Rises was followed by the equally impressive A Farewell to Arms in 1929. Like The Sun Also Rises, this novel is heavily autobiographical. In it, Hemingway draws upon his experiences in Italy during World War I. Like Hemingway, the main character, Frederick Henry, is an ambulance driver in the Italian army, and he is also wounded by a mortar shell. The 19-year-old Hemingway had an affair with Agnes von Kurowski, the American Red Cross nurse who nursed him back to health. Frederick has an affair with a British nurse, Catherine Barclay, who also nurses him back to health. A Farewell to Arms is an intensely written anti-war novel, but Hemingway doesn't merely condemn the horrific devastation of World War I through Frederick's tirades against the war's senseless brutality. Hemingway indicts the world for allowing the war to happen. It also introduced the Hemingway hero, the larger-than-life individual who takes on what life throws at him with self-sacrificing courage to illustrate universal themes of heroism and struggle.
I had seen nothing sacred, and the things that were glorious had no glory. And the sacrifices were like the stockyards at Chicago if nothing was done with the meat except to bury it. Abstract words such as glory, honor, courage, or hallow were obscene. Ernest Hemingway, A Farewell to Arms.
In the 30s, Hemingway continued to live his life on the edge and gained experiences, enabling him to reinvent from novel to novel the quintessential hero to which he had lent his name. In 1937, Hemingway became a war correspondent and covered the Spanish Civil War between General Francisco Franco's fascists and the Spanish loyalists. To many back in the States, his tales exemplified the adventurer and war veteran covering the thrill of war and earned him the cachet as America's first celebrity war correspondent. In 1940, Hemingway took these experiences and used them as the backdrop in For Whom the Bell Tolls. In the book, the Hemingway hero is resurrected with the themes of courage and struggle against the setting of war. For Whom the Bell Tolls tells the story of Robert Jordan fighting with Spanish guerrillas on the loyalist side. In this case, an American, like Hemingway, leads a group of resistance fighters on a mission to blow up a bridge critical to the Spanish fascists. Initially an idealist, Jordan is quickly sobered by the reality of war. Yet ever the Hemingway hero, his courage enables him to remain devoted to the loyalists, even when facing death. This tale of a world falling into the grip of World War II is one of Hemingway's finest. In 1952, Hemingway wrote his greatest novel, The Old Man and the Sea. Drawing once again upon his theme of the hero's struggle against all odds to succeed, Hemingway wrote about the universal truths of courage and persistence when facing adversity. The Old Man and the Sea is about an old Cuban fisherman battling the elements in his own old age to bring home the largest marlin his small fishing village has ever seen. The book was later made into an Oscar-winning movie with Spencer Tracy playing the role of the old fisherman.
Then his head started to become unclear, and he asked himself, is he bringing me in, or am I bringing him in? They were sailing together, lashed side by side, and the old man thought, let me bring him in if it pleases him. I am only better than him through trickery, and he meant me no harm.
Hemingway won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1954. The Academy noted that it was for his mastery of the art of narrative, most recently demonstrated in The Old Man and the Sea, and for the influence that he has exerted on contemporary style. Overwhelmed by alcoholism and mental illness, which dogged his final days and robbed him of his memory and fluid style of writing, Hemingway took his own life at his home in Ketchum, Idaho in 1961. He was 61 years old.